Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going to be doing a deep dive into something that I think is really interesting and really important for gaming. And a lot of people maybe don't think about it too much, but it's your mouse pad.
Yeah.
We got a really detailed review of the top 5 gaming mouse pads for 2024. And honestly, some of this tech that's coming out is pretty mind-blowing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
We're talking wireless charging. We're talking surfaces that change depending on what your play style is.
Right.
We're even talking RGB lighting.
Right.
Like,
oh, yeah.
crazy stuff.
It's wild how far they've come. I mean, you think about it, it's just a surface, right? But they're really packing in some serious technology and features these days that can actually have a big impact on your gameplay.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's jump right into it.
Let's do it.
The first one that we're going to look at is the Logitech G Power Play.
Oh, yeah.
And this one, I was immediately intrigued by one thing, and that's the built-in wireless charging.
Oh, yeah, that's a game changer.
I just imagine you're in the middle of like a ranked match, right?
Absolutely.
And all of a sudden your mouse dies.
Yep.
That's like the worst feeling in the world. Not with the Power Play, though.
No more rage quitting because of a dead mouse. I love it.
Exactly. So how have they like managed to integrate this technology without, compromising performance? Like that was my first question looking at this.
Well, it's actually really impressive how they've done it. They've essentially created this super thin charging module that sits underneath the surface of the mouse pad. And then they give you options for the surface itself, too. You can choose between a rigid surface or a soft surface, depending on what you prefer.
Okay, so break it down for me. What would make someone choose one over the other?
Sure. So if you're someone who really values speed, like you're playing a lot of fast-paced first-person shooters, you want that mouse to just glide across the surface. The rigid surface is going to be your best bet. It's almost like your mouse is floating on air. But if you're playing something where you need a little bit more precision, a little bit more control, maybe you're playing more strategy games or something like that, the soft surface gives you a bit more resistance. So you can make those really fine-tuned movements.
Oh, so it's really about like tailoring it to your play style.
Exactly. And that's one of the things I love about the Power Play is that it gives you that flexibility.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so the next one we're going to look at is the Razer Strider Chroma.
Okay.
And they call this a hybrid surface.
Yeah.
Which sounds
it's a cool name.
very high tech.
It is.
What exactly does that mean? Like, what is a hybrid surface?
Yeah. So basically, they've taken the best of both worlds. They've managed to blend the speed of a hard mat with the control of a cloth mat. So you get this really balanced experience.
Okay, so not actual magic, but pretty close.
Pretty close, yeah.
How does it work?
Well, the magic is in the micro texture of the surface. So it's got this very specific texture that provides just enough grip to give you that sense of control, but it doesn't sacrifice any of the glide speed.
Okay. And of course, it wouldn't be a Razer product without RGB lighting.
Of course. Gotta have the RGB.
So is that purely aesthetics, or is there like an actual functional benefit to that?
So it definitely looks cool. I mean, let's be real.
Oh, yeah.
But it actually can enhance the immersive experience, too. You can sync it up with your games so the lighting reacts dynamically to what's happening in the game.
Oh, so it's like your own personal light show.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, it adds a whole other level to it.
So another thing the review mentioned was that this mouse pad is basically indestructible.
Pretty much.
They were like spilling drinks on it and everything.
Yeah, it's got a hydrophobic surface, so it repels liquids.
Oh, wow.
So if you're someone who's prone to accidents, or you've got like, an active gaming setup, this is a good one to consider.
Yeah, that's really awesome. All right, so the next one we got is the Corsair MM700 RGB Extended.
Okay.
And this one is just an absolute beast. They call it XXL for a reason.
Yes, they do.
And from what I understand, it basically turns your whole desk into a mouse pad.
Yeah, it's huge. If you've got a sprawling battle station, this is the mouse pad for you.
Yeah.
You will never run out of mouse space no matter how intense your movements get.
So it says here that it's got like a woven textile surface.
Yeah.
Does it feel like I'm playing on a sweater?
No, it's not quite like that. The woven textile, it provides a really nice balance between speed and control.
Okay.
So it's not too fast, it's not too slow, it's kind of right in the middle.
Okay, and get this, it's also got a built-in USB hub.
Yes.
It's like this mouse pad is trying to be the command center for your whole setup.
I mean, why not, right? You can plug in your keyboard, you can plug in your headset, you can plug in all your other peripherals right there into your mouse pad. Keeps everything nice and organized.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's awesome. All right, we got 2 more contenders here, and they sound equally impressive.
Okay.
So first, we got the Artisan Ninja FX0.
The Ninja.
This one seems to be all about precision.
Yeah, this one's really cool. It's made with this unique type of pressure-sensitive weaving that they developed in Japan.
Wait, pressure sensitive?
Yeah.
So it knows how hard I'm clicking?
Not clicking, but pressing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so it can actually sense how hard you're pressing on the mouse itself, and it adjusts the resistance accordingly.
Wow.
So if you're making these really small, gentle movements, you get more control for precise aiming. But if you're doing like these big quick flicks, there's less resistance for faster reactions.
Oh, that's cool. So it like adapts to your movement in real time.
It does. It's pretty amazing.
It's like having a mouse pad that can read your mind.
Almost.
That's awesome. This whole deep dive is making me realize how much technology actually goes into these things.
Yeah, it's not just a piece of cloth anymore.
No, not at all. All right, so last but not least, we got the Steel Series QK Prism.
Okay, a classic.
Yeah, they say it's like the evolution of a classic. So what makes this one different from like the original QKK?
Well, the QK has always been known for being super reliable and affordable.
Right.
And the Prism basically takes that and adds some modern features to it.
Like RGB lighting, of course.
Of course.
But what else besides that?
So they upgraded the surface with a micro-textured weave. It's similar to the Strider in that it gives you a really good balance of speed and control.
Okay.
They really put this one through the ringer in the review.
Yeah.
And it held up like a champ. Really durable. They've reinforced the stitching, added a sturdy rubber base to prevent any slippage. It's built to last.
Okay. I'm already feeling a little overwhelmed by all these options.
Yeah, I can imagine.
How is anyone supposed to choose?
Right. I mean, they all sound pretty great.
They do. They all sound awesome.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's not really about finding the best mousepad objectively. It's about finding the best mousepad for you.
Right. So thinking about your play style, your preferences, your budget, all of that comes into play.
So if I'm someone who really likes that super fast glide, I'm going to go with the Logitech G Power Play with the rigid surface.
Probably a good choice, yeah. If you're all about control and precision, maybe the Artisan Ninja FX0 is more your speed.
Okay.
And then if you're on a budget, you want something solid all around the Steel Series, QK Prism is a great option.
So it's all about like matching it to what you're looking for.
Absolutely.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense now. Is there anything else we should consider when we're choosing, besides like the obvious stuff like the surface type and features?
That's a good question. Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's the little things that can make a big difference. So thinking about the size of the mouse pad, for example, that's important, especially if you've got limited desk space.
Right, because that Corsair MM700
That one's massive.
would not fit on my desk.
Exactly. And then also think about thickness. Some people like a really thin profile.
They want that very direct feel. Other people like a little bit more cushion for wrist comfort, especially if you're gaming for long periods of time.
Okay, so size and thickness, important. Anything else?
One more thing I think that often gets overlooked is aesthetics.
Okay.
So while this doesn't directly impact the performance,
Right.
it can enhance your overall experience. So think about the design, the RGB lighting, all that stuff.
Yeah, I'm a sucker for a good light show, I gotta admit.
Right. It creates a mood. It creates an ambiance. Some people like a really minimalist look. Other people want their mouse pad to be like a centerpiece of their setup. It's all personal preference.
Okay, so we've covered a lot here. We've talked about surfaces and features and size and thickness and even aesthetics.
Yeah.
What stood out to you the most in this review? Was there like a particular mouse pad that really caught your eye?
You know, I gotta say, I'm really blown away by the innovation of that Artisan Ninja FX0.
Yeah.
That pressure-sensitive weaving is wild. I think it could really change the game. But I also really appreciate the practicality of the Logitech G Power Play.
Right.
Wireless charging is a real problem solver for gamers, and it's not just a gimmick. It actually works really well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's awesome to see how these like peripherals are evolving to really enhance the gaming experience.
Absolutely.
And I think we've only just scratched the surface here.
We have.
And speaking of scratching the surface, we got a lot more to talk about, including how these mouse pads actually perform in different gaming scenarios.
Definitely.
But that's a conversation for part 2 of this deep dive, so stay tuned.
Absolutely. You know, it's amazing to me how these mouse pads can be so different from each other.
Yeah.
Like they're all just flat surfaces, essentially.
Right.
But they can really change how you experience a game.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's interesting how each mouse pad almost seems to be like tailored towards a certain type of gamer.
Right.
Like, if you're someone who really values speed and reflexes in, like, a fast-paced shooter, the Logitech G Power Play with the rigid surface seems like it would be perfect.
Yeah, absolutely. That rigid surface is going to give you that super fast glide.
Right.
You're going to be able to make those quick movements. But if you're more about precision and control, like you're playing a tactical shooter, maybe you're going for those pixel perfect headshots, the Artisan Ninja FX0 with that pressure sensitivity.
Right.
That seems like it'd be the way to go.
Yeah, and even the size of the mouse pad seems to play into that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like if you're a low sensitivity player, you use big sweeping arm movements, the Corsair MM700 makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, that thing is huge.
Yeah.
It's like having your entire desk as a mouse pad.
Yeah, exactly. And then on the other end of the spectrum, if you have limited desk space, the SteelSeries Q-Cake Prism seems like it would be a really good option because it's
it's a good compromise.
Compact.
You get that performance, but it's not going to take up your entire desk.
And then there's the Razer Strider Chroma with that hybrid surface.
Yeah.
That seems like it'd be really good for players who need both speed and control, depending on the situation.
It's a good all-rounder.
Yeah, like almost like having two mouse pads in one.
Exactly. Yeah. You can adapt to different game genres or even different play styles within the same game.
So we've talked about matching the mouse pad to your play style, but what about matching it to specific games?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Like, does the type of game you're playing actually influence which mouse pad would be a better fit?
For sure. And the review goes into a lot of detail about this. So, for example, they tested the Logitech G Power Play with the rigid surface in Valorant, which is a really fast-paced first-person shooter.
Right.
And they found that it gave players a significant advantage in terms of speed and accuracy.
That makes sense because being able to make those really quick flick shots and micro adjustments can be the difference between winning and losing in those types of games.
Absolutely. On the other hand, they tested the Artisan Ninja FX0 in Apex Legends, which is a game that demands a lot of precision and control.
Right.
And they found that the pressure-sensitive surface allowed for really fine-tuned aiming, which led to more consistent long-range shots.
So it's almost like each mouse pad has its own superpower.
Yeah, I like that.
Tailored for specific games.
Yeah, it's not just about general performance. It's about how that performance translates to in-game advantages.
Right.
And I think that's why it's so important to do your research and really understand what each mouse pad is good at before you make a decision. Yeah,
and I appreciate that this review goes beyond just talking about the specs.
Right.
They actually put these mouse pads through real-world gameplay scenarios.
Exactly. Yeah. It's one thing to read about a hybrid surface or pressure-sensitive weaving. But it's another thing entirely to actually experience how it feels when you're in the middle of a game. When you're trying to make those clutch plays.
It's all about the feel.
Exactly.
So at the end of the day, the best mouse pad is the one that feels the most comfortable and intuitive for you.
Absolutely.
It's about that synergy between your hand, the mouse, and the surface.
Yeah, finding that flow state where you're not even thinking about the equipment anymore.
Right.
You're just completely immersed in the game.
And speaking of immersion, we can't forget about the RGB lighting.
Of course not. Gotta have the RGB.
It might seem purely aesthetic, but I think it does add to the overall experience.
I agree. I think it creates a more engaging environment. It's more visually appealing. And some of these mouse pads even have dynamic lighting effects that sync with your games.
I can imagine playing like a horror game.
Oh, yeah.
With a Razer Strider Chroma, and the lighting is reacting to what's happening in the game.
Oh, that would be awesome. Flickering lights, eerie shadows, sudden bursts of color.
Yeah.
It'd be like having an interactive light show that responds to your every move.
You know what else I find interesting is that these mouse pads are becoming more than just surfaces.
Yeah.
Like we've got the Logitech G Power Play with wireless charging.
Right.
The Corsair MM700 with the built-in USB hub.
Yeah, it's like they're mini command centers for your entire setup.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny because when you think about it, the mouse pad is probably the most overlooked component in a gaming setup.
It's true.
Like, we obsess over the perfect mouse, the perfect keyboard, the perfect monitor, but the surface that ties it all together often gets neglected.
Yeah. But as we've seen in this deep dive, it's not just a passive surface.
Yeah.
It can actually have a big impact on your performance, your comfort, even your immersion in the game.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think we've made a pretty good case for why the right mouse pad is so essential for any serious gamer.
For sure.
But before we wrap up, I want to go back to something you said earlier.
Okay.
About there not being a single best mouse pad.
Right.
It's all about finding that perfect match
Yeah.
for your individual needs and preferences.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to think carefully about what you want in a mouse pad.
Yeah.
What features are most important to you? What kind of games do you play? What's your budget?
Right. And this review does a great job of breaking all that down.
Yeah.
They've got recommendations based on gamer profiles, budget constraints, even specific game genres.
It's a really useful resource for anyone who's looking to upgrade their gaming setup or just learn more about mouse pads in general.
Yeah, absolutely. This deep dive has been super eye-opening for me, and I think it might be time for me to upgrade my own mouse pad.
I think that's a great idea. You might be surprised by the difference it makes.
You know what? Maybe we should do a follow-up episode.
Okay.
Where we each talk about our personal experiences with the mouse pads that we end up choosing.
I like that. It'd be interesting to see how our preferences and play styles influence our choices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure. But for now, I think we've given our listeners plenty to think about.
Absolutely.
What do you say we move on to the final part of this deep dive?
Okay.
Where we'll recap all the key takeaways and offer some final words of wisdom.
Sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're back for the final part of our deep dive into the world of gaming mouse pads. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling pretty convinced that I need a new one.
Yeah. I mean, we've really gone in depth here, and it's clear that these aren't just, simple accessories anymore. They can really make a difference.
Yeah, for sure. So before we let everyone go out and, start shopping for their new mouse pad, let's just recap some of the key things that we talked about.
Yeah, good idea. So the biggest takeaway, I think, is that there is no single best mouse pad out there.
Right. It's all about finding what works for you.
Exactly. It depends on your individual needs, your play style, the games you play, your budget, all of that.
So if you're all about speed, you want those lightning-fast reflexes, the Logitech G Power Play with that hard surface, that might be the one for you.
Yeah, if you want to feel like your mouse is just gliding across the surface, that's a good option.
But if you're more about precision and control, you need to be able to make those really fine-tuned movements than the Artisan Ninja FX0 with that pressure-sensitive weaving. That might be your secret weapon.
Yeah, that one's really unique. I haven't seen anything else like it on the market.
And for those of you who need a little bit of both speed and control, the Razer Strider Chroma with that hybrid surface, that seems like a really good compromise.
Yeah, it's a great all-rounder. You can adapt to different games, different play styles.
And we can't forget about the more classic options, the workhorses like the SteelSeries QK Prism.
Yeah, that's a good one. If you're on a budget, you want something reliable, something durable.
Yeah.
That's a solid choice.
And then, of course, there's the Behemoth, the Corsair MN700.
The XXL.
If you've got the desk space for it and you want that really immersive experience, that one's definitely worth checking out.
Yeah, it's like turning your whole desk into a mouse pad.
But don't forget about things like size and thickness. Those can make a big difference too.
Yeah, if you've got a small desk, you don't want to get a mouse pad that's too big.
Right.
And if you're worried about wrist comfort, think about getting something with a bit more thickness.
And one more thing that I think is really important is aesthetics.
Oh, yeah.
Don't underestimate how much the look and feel of your mouse pad can affect your overall gaming experience.
Yeah, it's all about creating a setup that you're excited to use, a setup that reflects your personality.
So we've talked about a lot here. We've talked about surfaces and features and sizes and thicknesses and even aesthetics.
We've covered it all.
But at the end of the day, the most important thing is to find a mouse pad that feels right for you.
Absolutely. Trust your gut. If it feels good, it probably is good.
And don't be afraid to experiment. Try out different options.
Yeah.
See what works best for you.
There's no right or wrong answer here. It's all about personal preference.
So as you go out and start looking for your new perfect mouse pad, just remember to keep all these things in mind.
Yeah. Think about your needs, do your research, and most importantly, have fun with it.
Exactly. It should be an enjoyable process.
Yeah. It's all part of creating a gaming setup that you love, a setup that's uniquely yours.
Well, that about wraps up our deep dive into the world of gaming mouse pads. We hope you found it informative and helpful.
Yeah, hopefully you learned a thing or two.
And who knows, maybe you'll even discover your new favorite mouse pad.
Yeah.
Until next time, happy gaming, everyone.
See you later.